So, from there, I think the big topic that every single CEO has asked me when I got on the phone with them is, what are you seeing? What are you hearing about leads? Like, hey,
Oh man,
are
we
they
don't have
up?
enough.
Are they down? What is Utah like? What's Florida like? What's Maryland like? What's New York like? What's Ohio like? I mean, I keep going. Texas, Oklahoma. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, what should we expect from your perspective? You've been doing leads now, Chris, for a long time. You're an industry expert on leads, right? What should we expect as an industry moving into the second half of this year with, obviously an election year and beyond?
Well, I mean, just to tackle the election year. I mean, I think we all know in election years, some media becomes a little bit more noisy. Radio and TV just become more noisy in election years. There's just no way around that. With that said, look, there are plenty of leads out there to be had. And it's so interesting because no matter what year I've ever done this, you'll definitely get people like, hey, there's the market has softened a little bit, or it's harder to get people to spend money in home improvement. And look, I'm not going to pretend I know every single geo across the country. You're certainly going to run into that, and sometimes it's harder to get somebody to spend money on Windows, and it's easier for HVAC. Like we're going to run the gamut here. However, if we cannot always just focus on like the sale today, and this is a hard thing, I think, in home improvement where, look, you want to buy a lead and you want the lead to turn into an appointment and you want the appointment to turn into a job relatively quickly. And that's always the case. What I've always argued from day one is get good at your lead nurturing process. Hey, if Greg comes in on the website today and he says, hey, I'm interested in Windows, and you don't land the business today for whatever reason, you don't know, maybe he's thinking about braces for the kid or the summer vacation. There's lots of competing things that are fighting for the consumer's dollars. Don't worry about that. Create a good system in which you can follow up with Greg through email, through a phone call, through a direct mail piece. And you may be saying as a contractor, like, yeah, but I need the business today. And that's true. But if you have that good lead nurturing process and you're very good at over the course of a year, a decade, then the Greg that came in 2 years ago who wasn't prepared to pull the trigger on said project, you create this remarketing campaign that doesn't require a tremendous amount of human power, maybe just some automation, and you build a really good lead nurturing process so that the Greg 2 years ago may be ready to buy today. So I think for contractors, like I see this a lot of times I won't mention the company, I have a local guy. I remember, and it was the same way, he got my business. I was like, where's my Christmas card, man? Like, where's asking for the referral? Some of the really basic stuff that we know as contractors we should be doing. Yeah. So to your original question is like, is it the market soft? No, there's tons of leads out there. There's plenty of business to be had, but if you're going to acquire the consumer's information, whether you're buying a lead or you're knocking on a door or however it may comes about, create a really good nurturing process so that you can incubate those leads over the course of time. You do that well, there's so much money in your database.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's so important for contractors to hear that right now, because especially like the leaders, the CEOs, the owners, they get this feedback up that the leads are bad, because we have the sales reps out there that they have this like built-in excuse, right? Like, hey, no, these leads just aren't as good. And all of a sudden you manifest that, right? And now you're approaching all these appointments a little bit differently because now you're afraid that, oh, it's an election year. Oh, people are going to tighten up. Oh, whatever it is. It's like, no, it's not. Like, there is plenty of business out there. And if the companies have the good foundation from, I call it the great reorganization. So after COVID, we had to then reorganize back to reality. And if you didn't reorganize your persistence, process, and technologies back to reality of going in the home and just off the back of COVID, then you're probably a little bit more nervous because you don't know. But when you have your different lead sources out there, it's probably split right down the middle. I have half the people that I talk to, half the leaders and CEOs I talk to, they're looking to grow by 10, 20, 30. I talked to one guy yesterday. He's literally looking to double in the next 18 months. So 18 months, over 18 months, he's looking to double 100%. And that's a massive jump over this time period. But his his philosophy was, we're set. Like, our trajectory is set. We have the systems in place. We have the people in place. We have the partners in place. We know what we're doing, and we're fully dedicated to this. They realize that there's enough business out there to go get. So while everyone else is pulling off the gas because they're going into that prevent defense, there's companies like that are using you and others to actually reinvest even more in a bigger budget, because they see that as the competition can't afford to go into, reinvest in their business.